Hello, I'm Laura Furiosi, divorced mother of 3, and I'm here with my mother, Lynette Galvin, with 35 years' experience in family law. You're listening to the Divorce Course podcast. Through our candid discussions, we hope to help you through your divorce or de facto separation. We will be answering the most commonly asked questions and covering the stages and steps that you will face on your way to freedom. Do you think that your ex is special? Do you think that your case is the only case that's ever happened? Well, today we're going to alleviate that worry and let you know that your ex isn't actually that special. Welcome, Mum.
Hello, Laura. No matter what they think.
Yeah. So we've come up with 9 different special exes.
That seems to be our number.
They're scenarios, and Mum's going to talk you through, okay, well, if this is a special scenario, what can we do about it? Yeah. So, and even if you don't think any of these scenarios are relevant to you, because they may become relevant to you as you go along your journey. So let's start off with number 1. Their family has money. I'm not going to go into this big divorce drama with property and everything because their family's got so much money and I've got nothing. I'm not going to be able to even afford a lawyer. I'm not going to be able to fight there. He's got 6 lawyers already, and like that Mr. Burns scenario where they're all going for you. What do you do, Mum? Is that a situation where you just go, nah, just give up?
No.
Okay.
No. But so you have to have faith in yourself. That's not special. There's lots of people like that. And sometimes, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, sometimes children of very wealthy parents are really poor at relationships. So they do tend to end up in the courts.
Right.
A lot. With the separation.
You just called out every parent that's got money to tell them that their kids are going to be poopy bums.
Well,
that's what you're noticing.
I am noticing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, there you go. You had
it. So, but no. Look,
you weren't wealthy when I was a kid, Mum.
That's right. Yes. You're safe. But what I'm thinking is I do hear this a lot. And, I don't do a lot of cases anymore, but I'm hearing, when I was younger, there were a lot of people where I think the other person fights a bit harder because they've got money backing them up. Maybe that's what it really is, that they've got deeper pockets.
Yeah, the cost, because I think that the court does put a fear into people that's saying, oh, this is going to cost you a lot of money. You've got to do those cost notices now before you go in. How much is this going to cost? If it doesn't settle, what's it going to cost to go to trial? You better settle. It's going to cost a lot of money. But if someone's got millions of dollars in the bank just sitting there having a holiday, they're not like, oh, I don't care.
Whereas if you're down to your last $85 and you want to spend it on groceries, it really matters that you might get hit with a cost order. So, but we've got ways around it. One is the law doesn't discriminate between a person with wealthy parents or a person who hasn't. Also, just the wealthy family doesn't mean that your ex is wealthy. That they are, just the same as everybody else.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter.
Yep.
And you can get orders like dollar for dollar orders.
Okay, explain that. So they're getting all this legal stuff. They've already spent, I don't know, 20 grand in legal fees because they've written you 70,000 letters. What's this dollar for dollar thing? If you literally have no money and you can't afford to pay for a lawyer and they've already started hounding you.
And well, if you can't find some cash in your own names, the 2 names, you could ask for money as an interim property settlement and say, oh, look, you've got that 30,000 sitting in the trust account there. I'll have that, please, to cover my legal fees. So we're on a level playing ground. So if you can find some cash somewhere in an account that you can say to the court, I need this money to represent myself because, look, I can't afford it, then you go there. But what if there isn't? In this case, where it's the family that's got the money, none of the money really is in their name, your ex's name, and yet somehow miraculously they're paying these massive legal fees. So in a case like that, this dollar for dollar order becomes really helpful because the order says that every time he pays $1 to his lawyers, there has to be $1 paid to your lawyers to match it.
Right.
And these came out about 2006, I think, the first ones of these. And they were a bit funny because people tried to get out of it. Like they didn't pay their own bills for years. And all sorts of shenanigans like that. So I think that the dollar for dollar order is a last resort. Better if you can identify a lump sum somewhere and have a share of that, even if it's a redraw on the mortgage. But be careful what you spend, because it all comes off. Legal fees are taken off your share. So another way of doing it, I guess, is just educate yourself and just be ready for their deeper pockets. Let them spend the money, not you.
So basically what you're saying is, yes, they may be wealthy, but wealth doesn't mean you win.
No.
And if you are desperate and you can't get any money to pay for lawyers, you can do the dollar thing, or ask for a property settlement interim, which means what in the moment, not final property settlement, but in the moment's property settlement, to say she can have some of the money or he can have some of the money to pay for legal fees.
Yes.
Okay. Make sure you don't spend all your money on legal fees.
No, you still got to be careful with it.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, Mum. And my ex is really special. I don't know if I can go through this property settlement thing because they're paying all my bills.
Oh, the honey trap.
Yes. So I guess there are a lot of people out there. I knew a couple of ladies where I used to go, and I had a couple of, people I chatted to, and there was quite a few of them stuck in this situation where they were separated. They didn't want to go for property settlement because their ex was paying for their rent, paying for their car, gave him money. And they thought, oh, if I try and go for a property settlement, they're going to stop paying for everything and I'm going to be destitute.
It is a bit of a honey trap.
It's a trap.
But it's also, sometimes you might think, what a good person that person is to be paying those fees. But actually, sometimes it's coercive control and it's just wanting to manage you. And the red flag for that is if the person actually, instead of giving you the money, actually pays your landlord or pays the mortgage, pays the things. So you're kind of like a kept person. So, yes, that's tricky, but you'll be stuck forever under their control. And one day they'll stop anyway. So the way we do it, the way I handle these matters is I say to them, get as organised as you can. Then you write and ask for property settlement using our first letters. I would suggest use the manipulative and controlling stream because it seems to be manipulative in a way. And the second that they even hint at stopping, then you put an application into the court for spousal maintenance in that sum of money. That proves they paid it in the past, so they have got the capacity to pay, and you have proven that you've got the need because you've had to rely on them.
Do you find that sometimes in those situations they're just doing it until the time limit runs out? So you've gotten divorced, you've got 2 years until your time to do property settlement. They just keep paying you, and then you think you're going to be fine, and then 2 years hits and then they stop paying you and you can't file in court?
I think I've seen that once or twice.
Okay.
What often happens is the minute the person who's getting all their bills paid for them steps out of line in the view of the payer.
Starts dating, gets a new boyfriend, has her mother come and live with her, or, has a holiday interstate, then the money stops. The person, our person who's having all her bills paid or his bills paid for him is afraid to go anywhere or date or do anything because they're still in this, what I like to think of as control.
A honey trap or a coercive control.
I think honey trap is a completely different name for getting politicians caught in compromising sexual things.
I think it's any seemingly beneficial idea that's actually got a...
Okay, sorry, every time you say it, I just keep thinking of a politician being caught. I know.
I raised you wrong.
Oh, I listen to too many weird podcasts. Okay.
You
All right.
do.
All right. So that's that one. All right. So just try and have that plan in your mind and make sure that you know what you're in and talk to a lawyer about that because you've seen people get out of that. Yes, Mum?
Oh, yes.
And realistically, wouldn't you prefer a property settlement where you get a split of everything and then you walk away and you do whatever you want with it, not only pay rent and only buy certain foods from certain shops? It's just so controlling. It's definitely call 1-800-RESPECT if that is happening to you because that is coercive control.
Yeah, it is.
And financial abuse.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. The next one, Mum, and we hear this a lot on TikTok.
Do we?
She'll never get my money. I've put it all in a trust. So my ex is special because everything's tied up in trusts and legal entities and I've got no idea what's what. So I don't think I could possibly do this divorce myself or with a lawyer.
Well, the lovely thing about Australia is the Family Law Act is a Commonwealth Act. And so that has a great deal of power because companies are registered in the Commonwealth. as well. So there's corporations legislation as well. And the family court, they call it tearing away the corporate veil. So they can dig down. And we've seen so many companies and trusts and so many cases about trusts. So your ex isn't special.
No, everybody tries it.
There's so many companies that do. And there was there've been cases really since the beginning of the Family Law Act where the parties just have these entities. But what the court does is drills down and sees who's actually in control. So the leading case on that is Ascot Investments and Harper, I think it is, which was back in the late 70s, early 80s. And in that, the court said, no, we'll have a look and see who's really got the control. So, for instance, when you look at a trust deed, you might see that your husband or wife is the trustee. And then you're one of the class of beneficiaries that might be there. And that's it. You only have an expectation under most trusts that you will get some money. And maybe money's come to you for tax purposes from time to time. But your ex is the trustee. Well, then the court will just say, well, obviously, it's just his creature. He can do what he likes, if that's what it is. Sometimes, though.
Do what he likes, as in we can tell him what to do.
Well, yes. And
he's under his control. He can share some of
it's assets. That's right. Because the court makes orders to the person, not to property.
Yeah.
So they will do an order, something like that. He will cause to be distributed from the trust X amount of dollars to the wife, something like that.
Right.
Now, this is a really... It's a complex area, trusts and companies. So you've got to be careful. Like if there's a company and you want to take the car, you can't really take the company car, or like in family, sometimes the company and their private assets get very blurred. Yes. So this is tread delicately here and also get some advice about taxation consequences if you've got loans within the trust. But look, educational only here. Just look out for that. But know that putting money in trusts and companies doesn't usually put it out of the reach of the family court.
Okay.
If it does, then the court may give a person more other assets to compensate for them having that trust.
So if you're sitting there at home and you're freaking out and you're like, oh no, we can't, there's too many trusts and entities and I don't even know where to start, it's okay. The family court has dealt with it before.
We haven't. The court's dealt with it so often. And at the end, you will come out with your share, and I'll bet you don't want to put it in trusts and self-managed super if you can help it or whatever it is. A nice, simple system that you can understand might be what your heart craves. And sometimes these structures
I'm more trouble.
They assume a life of their own.
And once you don't understand something, and I think that's something that Pedro in the episodes he's done earlier, understand the money system. If you don't understand it, then So these people, Mum, when they say, oh, I don't even know, well, yes, that's all well and good, but how do I even prove what trust? There's searches and things that you can do. Yes.
So we do a lot of searches and anything to do with companies, well, they're registered online, and we can search those company registers, find out who's what. We can search title deeds, find out who owns certain properties and kind of unpick the structure a bit. So don't worry about that.
Okay. All right. Another scenario where people are like, yeah, no, look, my ex is special. This is different. It's not a normal divorce. They're short de factos. So they've been de facto basically for just the minimum amount of time.
Couple of years, yeah.
What do you say to those people?
Well, it's not, I hear you when you say it's a short relationship, but it does qualify, if it's 2 years, for a property settlement under the family court. You need to get some advice, though, and see how much your entitlement is to see if it's worth going to court. But you're certainly entitled to inquire, to start proceedings if you need to invite them to mediation, because the shortness of the relationship isn't the problem. The problem that might happen is if you haven't mingled your finances or if there isn't a child. But if you've got a 2-year de facto relationship where there might be a child or you've put money into their house or they've put money into your house, then clearly that's something that you can sort out in property settlement and you're entitled to a share. So it just depends on your contributions.
Okay. So what you're saying is if you have a short de facto relationship with a really wealthy person and you didn't mingle anything, then
you might
you might
not
not get much.
No.
Okay. All right.
No false hopes here.
But it should be something you
But
check
if you've
out.
got a baby.
But if you've got a child,
yes,
then it's different.
That's right. Or if you supported them, then it might be a different story.
So you should go and still find out where you stand.
Absolutely.
And not just walk away and go whatever.
That's right.
Yeah.
Check it first.
Okay, great. All right. The next My Ex is Special is they say that I'm not entitled to anything, and they're pretty clever. So I would say that I don't see the point. I'm not entitled to it.
You're invited to our free webinar. Whether you're stuck at the beginning of deciding to divorce or you're struggling to find your way through the legal jargon and fear of the unknown of the legal process, we are here to empower you to take control. Join us to learn what steps you can take, followed by a live Q&A where you get Lynn, my amazing mum, and family law accredited specialist to answer your questions. All you have to do is go to www.thedivorcecourse.com.au and click on Reserve My Seat. Register now for our free webinar to help you make the best decision for your future. We'll see you there. Hurry, spaces are limited, so don't miss out. Register today.
The next My Ex is Special is they say that I'm not entitled to anything, and they're pretty clever. So I would say that I don't see the point. I'm not entitled to it.
Well, even if your ex is a family lawyer, I wouldn't be listening to that.
Okay.
Because you don't need to hear about your entitlements from your ex's mouth. You need to find out your entitlement from someone independent.
Yes.
And if they're not a lawyer, then where do they get off trying to tell you your entitlement to? It tells me sometimes that they've been to a lawyer themselves. They don't want you to go to a lawyer because they don't like the answer your lawyer's going to give you. And so they're trying to stop you going.
People have said to us, my ex told me, don't involve lawyers.
Let's leave the lawyers out of this.
Yes, it is classic 101. Let's manipulate the situation because, like you said, Mum, they usually say it after they've seen a lawyer.
They
go, whoa.
They might not admit it, but they darn well have, and they didn't like it, so they just head her off so she doesn't, or him never sees a lawyer.
Okay, so that's your ex is special, but not that special.
Yeah.
Go and see a gosh darn lawyer. All right. What about, and I get this, I really do get this, like people have said to us, look, my ex is special. He or she just wants to fight everything. They won't cooperate. They are a nightmare to just even arrange a time. Like you're down to just a time to do something. So
you're high conflict.
They're narcissistic types, and they're just fully in the moment, want to fight everything. So of course they're like, well, look, I'd really like to go down and do property settlement and children's matters, but my ex is special, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
What do you say to those people?
I say, look, identifying that they're special is the start, and then you need to say, okay, I'm right from the beginning. I'm going to manage my legal costs, and I'm going to do it perhaps with a step-in, step-out lawyer. Laura, you could do that and say, when the crazy comes, I'm just going to do those responses, so I'm not paying a fortune for it, and then I'll get a lawyer in when I need a lawyer. Right. And then again, the tip is, I think we talked about how you can reduce the overwhelm. Make sure when you get all of the communications from your high conflict person that if it's safe to do so, leave it and read it all at once a week or something. Just keep it in its box. But high conflict doesn't mean you don't get what you want.
No. And I think look, and a lot of people are saying their exes have narcissistic types, personalities, and they've got those traits, and it is tricky and hard to deal with. I get that. I'm seeing so many TikToks about it, but I think the legal system was really designed for those people.
I agree.
Because everybody else who has an amicable divorce, they don't need the legal system technically, really, apart from filing their consent orders and saying, we agree, please let us go our own way. But, yeah,
absolutely.
the court has discovered all of these tricks.
Well, we've also discovered all the narcissists, I think.
Yes.
So,
if you want to find some narcissists, just go to the family court because they're the ones that won't agree.
not the judges,
Yeah.
not the lawyers.
No. Well, some lawyers might be narcissists.
Maybe.
Who knows?
But really, you're only in court if one of you is unreasonable, honestly. It only takes one of you to be playing up and you'll end up having to get a judge to make a decision for you. So I think, I have no data to back this up, but you'd have to think that there's a greater incidence of narcissistic
personality
traits,
disorder people
in one or other of the people involved in court proceedings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's designed for that. The court's
It
like,
is.
okay, if this person's being such a stubborn poo-poo head, this is what we will do. There's no dead end. They can't just refuse till they're blue in the face and the court go, all right, well, we give up. It's not going to happen like that.
I've never seen the court ever give up. So we always, they'll always get their person.
Okay, so don't worry. There are ways. We have ways. We have the narcissist playbook, which I think if you do think your ex is a narcissist or has those types of traits, please go listen to the narcissist playbook.
And one of the things we say in that playbook is don't spend too much time with tisn't letters back and forth. You need to get somewhere pretty quickly where there are consequences for arguing and where there's an adjudicator. So, get it into the court. And then the court, when they order something, they don't brook any discussion about it once the order's made, and there's usually an or else.
Yeah.
Or else this will happen. So the court's pretty good at shepherding high conflict people through the courts and out the other side.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about, and I think that I'm going to put that one in that they are really clever as well. I'm encompassing it in that as well. But what about that they hide stuff? They're sneaky. They tell lies. I'd really like to do my divorce, but I just know it's going to be a waste of time. The disclosure, the money's going to be hidden. They're going to lie about everything, and it's just not worth the headache because they're just sneaky and manipulative. What do you say?
I say, first of all, it's really hard to know if they're being sneaky because they haven't got anything and they're just bragging.
Yeah.
Or they're sneaky and hiding things because they've got a ton of money. And so the first step I do with people like that is I do the searches and find out what's really going on with these people. And are they broke, or do they have properties that they haven't mentioned? Or
so you can find that stuff out. You don't need for them to tell you.
No.
Okay.
And then if you end up in court, you're able to issue subpoenas. So it's just a good little dig down. You don't need forensic accountants, really. It's just good, solid desk work to get to the bottom of things. And then, of course, they've got an obligation to tell you.
Right.
They have a positive obligation to give you all of the documents relating to their business deals. Not that they seem to, so a lot of people don't seem to take that obligation seriously.
Yes.
But if you ask them for stuff and they don't give it to you and you end up in court, well, you can dob. You can dob on them.
And that's your explanation for them. They're the lies, they're sneaky, they hide stuff, dob.
Dob on them.
And we've got the episode DIY Disclosure where Mum talks you through 40 minutes of steps that you can do it at home on your computer on looking up things like companies and businesses and cars and house titles, all of that you can do that research yourself. Yeah. So
and if you still can't find it out, if they've been really good at hiding stuff, as long as you can prove that it used to be around, you don't have to prove where it went. And so you say to the judge, there's $100,000 missing from our account. I don't know where it is, but here it was, and now it's gone. And he's not giving or she's not giving an explanation about that. And the court may well just add it back into the pool because that's what they've done before. They just go, all right, well, we'll add that back in and then divide the property how we're going to divide it and then take that off his share because he's already had that.
Right.
Or I said he because the two leading cases are men doing that.
Not because we're biased.
Well, I think there are a lot of men's groups, Laura, and I have had lovely male clients over the years, but I really perceive an imbalance in terms of representation for women against the very powerful men's group. And I think, it's time someone said, Well, we're mainly for women, and I love our male listeners. They're good, but you have to understand that this is a little bit about addressing an imbalance.
Yes. Yes. All right. So now that we've offended at least 30% of our listenership, it's not because we don't love you, it's because it says an imbalance. Okay. So, but none of this information is specifically for women. It's for anyone.
It is for anyone.
anyone.
And I have to say, in all of those cases, I've seen women do those things, but I just more often see as a powerful type business men, to be honest.
All right. So basically, if you're sitting at home right now going, oh, look, I really want to get this sorted, but my ex is special, inverted commas, but, you know, they're really clever, their family has money, they're paying all the bills, and I'm stuck in this little honey trap, in inverted commas. Everything they've got is in some sort of weird legal entity or trust. They're hiding stuff. They're sneaky. They tell lies. They won't cooperate. They're bloody narcissists. They said don't get lawyers involved. I'm scared if I do, then something bad's going to happen. Or they said I'm not entitled to anything, or I was only in a short de facto relationship. All of those reasons that might be running through your head, or one of those reasons, Mum, what do you say?
They're not that special.
They're not that special. So I think this was a good little summary episode. If you've heard something that sparked your interest in one of these topics, you can find, I guarantee you, an episode that goes for about 40 minutes on that whole topic on its own. I will put in the show notes the episodes that are linked to all of these little topics. And if you want to dig down and drill down and listen to another episode and another episode that is related to that topic, that's related to your divorce specifically, that might help you, please go into the show notes or go onto the podcasts and have a look and see if you can find them yourself.
How many podcasts have we done, Laura?
100 and something.
Oh, my goodness.
We're definitely past 20, I think. But the numbers are wrong. So
well.
But anyway. So anyway, thank you everybody for listening today. If you have not heard about our DIY divorce blueprint, I believe it still is. I hope I'm not going to ruin this by saying this, but it still might be open for membership. If it's not, then please disregard this. But if you're interested, go to www.thedivorcecourse.com.au/enroll. Enroll and have a look and see if you'd like to come along and do our course, because even if you're facing any of these issues, we'll still be able to help.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, Mother.
I was just, sorry, before you go,
yes.
I was just thinking hundreds of podcast episodes and what, 40 hours of video in the course.
Oh, it's longer than that. But you don't have to watch them all.
You're at Slave Driver. Let's have a cup of tea.
All right. And to everybody who has a special ex, we're thinking of you. Okay.
We hear you.
See you later. Thank you, Mum. Bye.
If you found this podcast helpful, we'd love it if you could rate, review and subscribe. By doing so, you are spreading the word to help someone else just like you. Lynn would like to remind you that this podcast is general advice only, and you should always get legal advice in relation to your particular situation. And remember that the Australian laws may have changed since recording.